I heard the engine before I saw her. The unmistakable purr of my new $36,000 car. The one I'd worked 2 years and 3 side jobs for. And then the sound changed. A screech. A thud. Silence. When I ran outside, the air tasted like burning rubber and betrayal. There she was, my sister Lauren, standing beside the crumpled hood, her phone still in her hand, mascara smudged but that same smug smirk plastered across her face. "You took my car," I said, voice trembling. "I told you no." She shrugged as if the word no was foreign to her. Then with that cruel little laugh only she could make sound so casual, she said, "Mom and Dad will make you forgive me." That line hit harder than the crash. My name is Ava Reynolds. And from wherever you're watching this, stay with me. Because I need to ask you something. Have you ever been treated like a stranger in your own family, just because you refused to be their doormat? That day wasn't just about a car. It was the day my family decided my boundaries didn't matter. The day I realized they'd rather protect her from consequences than protect me from pain. When Mom showed up, she didn't even ask if I was okay. She went straight to Lauren, hugging her, whispering about stress and forgiveness. Dad joined in, his arm around her like she was the victim of a bad day, not a crime. "Come on, Ava," Mom said. "She made a mistake. We'll help fix it. Don't blow this out of proportion." But there was glass under my shoes. Insurance papers with my name on them. And a sister who couldn't stop texting while driving, because she just had to post a video about borrowing my car. They thought I'd fold like always. They thought I'd swallow my anger, sign the claim, and smile at Sunday dinner. They were wrong. That night I filed a police report. Not out of revenge, but because it was finally time someone in this family learned that sorry doesn't erase damage. When the officer handed me the copy, the world went quiet. Cold, steady quiet, the kind that comes before a storm. And I knew. This wasn't just the beginning of a report. It was the beginning of my reckoning. The next morning my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Missed calls from Mom. A text from Dad, "We need to talk, now." I already knew what was coming. When I walked into my parents' house, Lauren was sitting on the couch like a fallen angel, wrapped in a blanket, fake tears glistening under her lashes. Mom was beside her, holding her hand. Dad stood like a disappointed pastor, ready to deliver a sermon on forgiveness. "Ava," Mom began, voice heavy with practiced concern, "your sister made a mistake. We all do. You can't let a police report ruin her life." I stared at her. "She stole my car, Mom. Then crashed it." Lauren sniffed, eyes darting up at me. "It wasn't like that," she said. "I just wanted to borrow it. I was gonna tell you. You're always so dramatic." I laughed, quiet, sharp, bitter. "Dramatic? You caused a 3-car accident." Mom's tone hardened. "Insurance will handle it. But if this stays on her record, she could lose her job." There was the real fear. Not about what she did to me, but about what might happen to her. Dad chimed in. "Your family. You handle things inside the family. You don't call the police." And that's when I realized something painful. They didn't see me as a daughter. I was a tool. The one who fixed things, paid for things, stayed quiet. Lauren's lip trembled. She looked up and whispered, "Please, Ava. You're ruining my life." I wanted to scream. Because I hadn't ruined anything. She did, when she thought she could use me without consequence. I said quietly, "Actions have consequences, Lauren. You taught me that when you lied about me stealing your prom dress. Remember?" She froze. Mom's face turned pale. Dad slammed his hand on the table. "Enough. You drop that report, Ava, or you're out of this family." There was the ultimatum. I stared at the man who taught me honesty and integrity, wondering when those lessons stopped applying to his favorite child. "Then I guess," I said, my voice steady, "you'll have to practice living without me." I walked out. My heart pounded, my hands shook. But for the first time in my life I didn't look back. That night I sat in my apartment staring at the police report under a soft lamp glow. One signature. One date. One quiet proof that I was done being the good daughter. Lauren thought Mom and Dad would save her. But she had no idea that the people she relied on most were about to crumble right alongside her. Because when you live your life on other people's protection, It only takes one truth to set everything on fire. 2 days later, I got an email from my insurance company. They'd reviewed the police report and declared Lauren the at-fault driver. Those 3 words, the at-fault driver, were colder than any apology she'd ever faked. An hour later, my phone rang. It wasn't my parents this time. It was Lauren. Her voice was sharp, desperate. "What the hell did you do, Ava? They called me into HR today. They know everything." I stayed silent for a moment, letting her words echo. "You did that, Lauren," I finally said. "Not me. You could have just handled it privately," she hissed. "You didn't have to destroy my life." Destroy her life? I glanced at the photo on my wall. My car shining under the dealership lights, my first real purchase after years of scraping by. She destroyed that the second she decided my hard work was hers to borrow. That evening, Mom showed up at my apartment uninvited. No knock, just that familiar turn of the handle. She walked in like she still owned every inch of me. "Ava, this has gone far enough," she said, setting her purse down. "Lauren's suspended. They're talking about letting her go. She's devastated." "Good," I said quietly. "Maybe she'll finally learn what accountability feels like." Her eyes flashed with that same disappointment she used to reserve for bad report cards. "You sound heartless." "She's your sister." "She's a grown woman who took my car after I said no," I said. "You taught me that stealing has consequences. Remember?" Mom looked like she wanted to argue, but her face softened, the manipulation sneaking in like fog. "She made a mistake, honey. You know how impulsive she is. Don't you think she's suffered enough?" And that's when something in me snapped. "I suffered too, Mom. I paid for that car. I trusted my own family. And when she broke that trust, you told me to forgive her, because you didn't want to deal with the guilt of raising her this way." The silence that followed was the kind that could fill a lifetime. Mom's voice shook. "You're not the victim here, Ava. Families forgive." I smiled, not cruelly but with the calm of someone who's finally done begging for understanding. "No, Mom. Families protect each other. You just protect her." When she left, I could hear her crying in the hallway. But for once, I didn't feel like the villain for standing up for myself. That night, my phone buzzed again. Another message from Lauren. A photo. Her office desk cleared out. Under it, just 2 words. "You won." But she was wrong. This wasn't about winning. It was about ending. Because when a family keeps choosing one person to protect, they eventually lose the one person who would have forgiven them anyway. It started with whispers. A cousin's text. "Hey, is it true you pressed charges on Lauren?" Then a Facebook post, vague but sharp. "Some people forget blood is thicker than pride." And just like that, I became the villain in my own family. Lauren didn't just lose her job, she lost her image. Her co-workers unfollowed her, her friends ghosted her, and her boyfriend, the one she used to brag about endlessly, posted a story that simply said, "Karma's real." So she did what she'd always done best. She played the victim. Suddenly, relatives were calling me asking how I could do this to my baby sister. Mom fed them lines like she was scripting a soap opera. "She's changed, she's sorry, Ava just can't let it go." Dad's words were sharper. "You're punishing your family for one mistake. That's not justice, that's spite." But here's the thing. Spite is silent. Justice signs paperwork. I didn't reply to their calls. Didn't post, didn't defend myself. I just watched. Because silence, when you've been labeled the villain, becomes your sharpest weapon. Then Lauren escalated. She started texting me screenshots of fake sympathy messages from people I'd known since childhood. Wow, I didn't know Ava was that kind of person. She always thought she was better than everyone. She ruined her own sister's life for a car. A car. That's what they reduced it to, not my safety, not my trust, not the years of her manipulation. Just a piece of metal with a price tag. One night she showed up outside my apartment building. Hair messy, mascara streaked. "I lost everything, Ava," she said, her voice trembling between rage and tears. "I hope you're happy." I stepped closer, the city lights cutting through the dark between us. "No," I said softly. "I'm not happy. But I'm finally free." She laughed bitterly. "You think you're free? You'll always be the cold one." The heartless one. Maybe, I said. But at least I'm not the reckless one. She stared at me like she wanted to say more, but all she did was whisper. You'll regret this. And that's when I knew she wasn't done. Because revenge doesn't always end when one side stops fighting. Sometimes it mutates, turning love into poison, and guilt into a weapon. The next morning my manager called. Someone had emailed my workplace, claiming I'd filed a false report against my sister for insurance fraud. No name, no signature. But I recognized the writing. Lauren had gone to war. And this time, I wasn't going to fight fair. The email didn't surprise me. What surprised me was how calm I felt reading it. I sat at my desk at work, the subject line glowing like a threat. Urgent. Employee involved in false police report. No one said anything out loud, but I could feel it. The curious glances, the whispers. Lauren wanted to humiliate me. If she couldn't control the story, she'd twist it until I looked like the monster. That night, I poured myself a cup of coffee, sat by the window, and opened my laptop. If she wanted to play dirty, I'd play smart. I started with her social media. Her private account wasn't private at all. A few scrolls down and there it was. The video. A shaky clip of her laughing in the driver's seat of my car, saying, "Stealing my sister's ride for a quick joyride, don't tell her." Time stamped. Dated. Posted the exact morning of the crash. My heart didn't race. It slowed. That quiet calm that comes when the truth finally hands you its weapon. I saved everything. Screenshots, posts, comments. Then I pulled the dashcam footage from my insurance portal. Lauren hadn't realized my car had one. The video showed her texting, ignoring a red light, and then the sound of metal and glass, the camera jerking to black. There was proof. Not of my spite, but of her recklessness. I didn't sleep that night. Not out of anger, but out of clarity. I finally understood something. You can't reason with people who build their self-worth on being right. You can only show them what reality looks like when the lights come on. The next morning I called my lawyer. He reviewed the footage, the posts, the police report, every detail I kept neatly organized. Then he looked up and said, "She could be charged for defamation and harassment. Are you ready for that?" Ready? I'd been ready since the moment she smiled at me beside that wrecked car. Within 48 hours the letter went out, formal, professional, and terrifyingly direct. Cease and desist. Every false claim, every whisper, every email she'd sent about me, would stop immediately or go to court. A day later Mom called. Her voice was trembling. "Lauren got a lawyer's letter." "Ava, what are you doing?" I almost felt sorry for her, for both of them, because this wasn't just about a car anymore. It was about years of being told to keep the peace while they set the fires. "I'm doing what you never did," I said. "I'm holding her accountable." There was silence. Then a whisper. "She's terrified." "So was I said. "But you didn't care then." When I hung up, I felt something strange, not triumph, not relief. Just peace. Because I knew the storm had only one more phase left. The one where truth doesn't just defend itself. It destroys. The silence after the lawyer's letter was almost eerie. No more fake emails. No more midnight calls. Just quiet. The kind that makes you wonder what storm is forming behind it. 3 days later the storm arrived. Lauren showed up at my parents' house during Sunday dinner. I wasn't there, but I didn't need to be. Mom called me after, voice trembling. She screamed at us, "Ava." Said we abandoned her. Said you turned everyone against her. I could almost picture it. Lauren's mascara streaked, hands waving, her words tumbling between guilt and rage. That was her pattern. Destroy, then perform. "What did you tell her?" I asked. Mom hesitated. I told her, we didn't abandon her. We just can't defend what she did anymore. That made me stop breathing for a second. Because for the first time in my life, my parents had chosen truth over appearances. Maybe they were finally seeing it. The years of manipulation, the way she twisted every consequence into victimhood. But Lauren wasn't done. She couldn't be. That night my phone buzzed again, an unknown number. A text. "You think you've won, Ava? I'll make them hate you again." Then a photo came through. A screenshot of a Facebook post from her new account. Imagine pressing charges on your own sister for attention. Some people don't know loyalty, only ego. Within minutes, comments poured in. Old family friends, distant cousins. Everyone had an opinion. But this time I didn't flinch. Because for every lie she posted, I had a piece of the truth ready to speak. I uploaded the dashcam clip. No captions. No anger. Just the video, her laughing in my car, texting, and the sound of the crash that ended everything. It spread faster than I expected. People recognized her voice. Her tone. Her arrogance. The comments turned. So she really did take it. Well, she blamed her sister for this. I'd pressed charges too. By midnight her post was gone. Her new account, deleted. Then a single text came from her old number. You didn't have to humiliate me. I stared at it for a long time. Because in her mind this wasn't justice. It was betrayal. But I didn't humiliate her. She did, the moment she believed she could rewrite the truth without proof. The next morning Dad called. He didn't sound angry this time. Just tired. You did what you had to, he said quietly. I didn't want to see it, but she needed this. His voice cracked. The kind of crack that comes from decades of enabling finally collapsing under its own weight. I didn't say much. Just listened. Because forgiveness doesn't always sound like I'm sorry. Sometimes it sounds like silence, followed by I understand now. That night, as rain tapped the windows, I realized something profound. Revenge isn't about making someone suffer. It's about making them see. And finally they all could. By the next week, everything had shifted. The family group chat, the one I'd been quietly removed from months ago, was suddenly active again. Only this time the messages weren't about me. They were about her. Lauren's company is investigating her social media behavior. Someone leaked the dashcam footage to her boss. They might reopen her case. I didn't leak it. I didn't have to. Truth has a way of traveling, especially when it's been buried for too long. That evening, Lauren showed up at my apartment again. No makeup, no armor, just exhaustion written all over her face. For the first time she looked small. I lost my job, she whispered. They said it's about company image. I tried to explain, but her voice cracked. They said my choices reflected my character. I wanted to feel sorry for her. I really did. But sympathy dies quietly after years of being weaponized against you. You wanted to teach me a lesson, she said bitterly. Congratulations. You did. I shook my head. No, Lauren. Life did. She leaned against the doorframe, eyes glistening. Mom and Dad won't even talk to me. You turned them against me. I didn't turn them, I said softly. They finally saw who you really are. Her jaw trembled, pride and pain twisting together. You could have just forgiven me. I met her gaze. I did. The moment I let go of needing you to change. She didn't understand it, not yet. Forgiveness wasn't a gift for her. It was my freedom. When she left, I watched her walk down the dim hallway, her reflection ghosting in the glass. For years that reflection ruled me, the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. But that night I saw her for what she was. A woman finally facing herself without a shield. Later that week Mom called again. Her voice was quieter this time. She's struggling, she said. She's looking for work. She's talking about therapy. I closed my eyes. Therapy. That was something I'd begged them to consider years ago. For me? They'd laughed then. But maybe this was the only way change could come, through the wreckage. Good, I said softly. Maybe it's time she starts rebuilding herself. Mom paused. You're not angry anymore, are you? I thought about that, really thought. And for the first time the answer didn't sting. No, I said. I'm just done being the one who keeps breaking so she can stay whole. When the call ended, I stepped outside into the night air. The world smelled clean like rain after fire. And for once I didn't feel heavy. Lauren had fallen. Not because I pushed her, but because she finally ran out of people to catch her. It's strange how peace arrives, not with a bang but a hush. Weeks passed and life settled into something new. The phone stopped buzzing. The gossip faded. Even the bitterness that used to live in my chest began to loosen its grip. I still saw my parents sometimes, cautiously, like walking through the ruins of an old home. They changed too. Dad spoke softer. Mom listened more. And when they said my name, it wasn't laced with guilt or expectation. Just love in its rawest, simplest form. Lauren, though, she stayed quiet. No texts. No calls. Just absence. Until one morning a letter arrived. Not an email. A real letter. Folded carefully, written in her looping cursive that I hadn't seen since we were kids. Ava, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even think I deserve it. I just want you to know I finally see what I did to you, not just with the car but all the years before that. You were the one who worked, who earned, who carried everything. I just took. And when you stopped letting me, I punished you for it. I'm sorry. I really am. I don't know who I am without being the favorite. But I'm trying to find out. I read it twice, then folded it back. Not out of anger, out of peace. Because the apology I once begged for had finally arrived, but it no longer held power over me. Later that week, I drove past the spot where she'd crashed my car. Now just another patch of asphalt, unremarkable and still. The city lights shimmered across the hood of my new car, softer this time, humbler somehow. And I realized, this wasn't revenge anymore. It was restoration. I didn't ruin her life. I just stopped letting her ruin mine. When people ask if I ever regret pressing charges, I tell them the truth. No. Because boundaries aren't cruelty. They're love. For yourself. Mom once said, family forgives. She wasn't wrong. I forgave Lauren, just not the way she wanted. Forgiveness didn't mean letting her back in. It meant closing the door without hate in my heart. And sometimes that's the most poetic justice there is. When the person who tried to break you ends up rebuilding themselves with the pieces they shattered. I looked at the night sky one last time before driving home. The road was quiet. The moonlight spilled across the windshield like a soft reminder that peace isn't something you find. It's something you finally stop running from. And just like that, my story wasn't about her anymore. It was about me.